Why, hello. Midway Piper, back with you. Got a couple of things to discuss today. Got a couple other things planned out to discuss in future videos. We'll start with the first one, housekeeping. Jonathan, this is for you. This is the Hardcastle Argyle Zulu shape. Jonathan mentioned to me that all the Hardcastles now on my smoking shop are sold out except the clay pipe, so we done good, I guess. I actually have two coming. I'll show you those when those arrive, but again, they are great pipes. Great smoking pipes, especially for the price. They really are some of my favorites in my collection. So, and in it, I have. It's been too long. If you can read my horrible handwriting, Ahab's Comfort. Yeah. I do love this stuff. It's got a little bit of everything in it, which just kind of works out to, no matter what I'm in the mood to smoke, it's pretty much got it in it. So long as I'm not looking for an aromatic for the day. And I've been doing quite a few aromatics, so I'm ready for something a little bit different today. So here we are, Ahab's Comfort. Another reason is I showed you guys yesterday in my Friday Reads video the short story collection, Bram Stoker short story collection. I read another one of the short stories last night. He's a phenomenal storyteller, Bram Stoker. The story last night was about a pirate captain. She's the ghost of a friend who was died under mysterious circumstances on a boat he worked on when he was younger. And his recurrences of seeing his friend's ghost in trying times. So, whole ship thing and Ahab's Comfort. Yeah, I know. That's just how my brain works. I'm sorry. I know it's a loose connection, but that's how my brain works, so you'll have to forgive me. So that's housekeeping out of the way. Before I forget, Jonathan, if you watch this video, when you get your Zulu in, let me know. Mine does not have a stinger. And I know most of them I don't think do, but it's just kind of weird. I think that that last one had a stinger in it. I don't know. Interesting to see if yours do. These tend to have differences from individual pipe to pipe. This one does not have any rim rustication markings on it. All right. Next up, last night, my son came to me and said, "Hey, when are you going to the bookstore?" That's music to my ears. But he always complains when we go to a bookstore, so I was like, "Hey, why do you want to go to the bookstore?" He goes, "Oh, I want to get a book." Okay. You don't have to twist my arm. We weren't sure if he was going to go to his gym class today or not. Behaviorally, he's fine. No more fevers, but he's got this like hacking cough. And it was pretty bad last night and this morning, so it wasn't worth taking him. Give him a couple more days to recover. But we went to the bookstore, and got him those of you that have younger kids might be familiar. They're like comics called Pizza and Taco. They're all food characters, and the main characters are a slice of pizza and a taco. He likes them. So he wanted to pick up the last 3 that he didn't have. And they had them all stock in the one store, so we went to go do that. I'm hard-pressed to go to a bookstore and not find something to read. So never heard of this guy before. George Boutwell. So I picked it up. And it's written by an ancestor of his, which is kind of cool. But what's the book about? During his 7-decade career in public life, George Boutwell sought to redeem America's promise of racial equality and economic equity. Important difference there. And the principled use of American power abroad from 1840 to 1905. Boutwell was at the center of efforts to abolish slavery, establish the Republican Party, assist Lincoln in funding the Union War, facilitate Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, impeach President Andrew Jackson, and frame and enact the 14th and 15th Civil Rights Amendments. He helped lay the foundations of the modern American economy with President Grant, investigated white terrorism in Mississippi in the 1870s, and opposed American imperialism following the Spanish-American War alongside Andrew Carnegie, Mark Twain, and Booker T. Washington. The son of a Massachusetts farming family of modest means, George Boutwell would do battle during his career with American political royalty, including Henry Cabot Lodge and Teddy Roosevelt. The first major biography of an important public figure who has long been hiding in plain sight. Boutwell is as much a history of the 19th century U.S. politics as a critique of the failures of governance during a turbulent and formative period of American history. That's a long period of time where a lot of huge things happened. 1840 to 1905. Holy crap. Piqued my interest. I mean, it sounds like he was involved in a heck of a lot of stuff. And, cool biography to pick up and read eventually. I also got an email from Audible that they were having a sale. Shocker. And 2-for-1 credit. So I found a Jules Verne book that I don't have. I've loved everything I've read by him so far. So I got that on Audible. And a story about the making of Dr. Seuss. Who he was before he became the infamous Dr. Seuss. So I'll get to those eventually. Not gonna bust my reading plans for them, but good to have. I like to read in a lot of categories, so it's not super hard for me to find a book in most cases. Had a lot of new subscribers over the last couple weeks, and thank you all. And one of the comments I frequently get is about my lighter. So I'll show you guys. Those of you who've been around or seen this already, but I found it on Amazon. If you just search on Amazon Trench lighter, Trench. It's a heavy little dude. Bottom on screws. Lighter fluid, not butane. And the way it works is you pull the cap, it exposes the wick, and then you got your little flint wheel on the side. And then when you light your pipe, well, yeah, it didn't go out. It's running low on fluid again. But it works like a pipe lighter. So to pull the flame down, you just close the cap to close the cap to put the flame out. So pretty handy. I'm not a huge fan of butane lighters, honestly, especially in this cold. By the time I get out here, they stop working so well. So lighter fluid's my jam, as long as I remember to make sure it's been filled. So that's that. The main thing I wanted to get, 11 minutes in, we're getting to the main thing finally. My bad. Not really, I don't feel too bad about it, actually. That's the joy of these videos and these YTPC channels. They're just fun, casual conversations. Anyways, I wanted to cover something. I read a little bit more of this last night, Baptized into Christ by, not my fingers, Jordan Cooper, A Guide to the Christian Life. And there's a topic I've wanted to talk on for a little bit, and I've been trying to sort of find a good jumping point, I guess, to get into it. And I found it last night through this. So, in this chapter, he's talking about the two mandates that have been handed down, essentially, to Christians. And the first mandate essentially, Adam must work within creation and establish human society through producing children. Again, humanity is told that they are required to take care of the earth, rule over the animals, and have children. Note that this mandate says nothing about forgiveness, nothing about faith, and nothing about sacraments. That is because this mandate was given to all people alike. So, that's mandate number one. Again, take care of the earth, rule over the animals, and have children. Okay. The other mandate given, which has very different rules, is the Great Commission of Matthew 28. If you're not familiar, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. This is Christ speaking. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you, and behold, I am with you always to the end of age. Matthew 28, verses 18 through 20. This mandate says absolutely nothing about changing the culture or about punishing criminals. Instead, this mandate is all about the gospel. Jesus commands that his church would baptize in the triune name, teach the words of Jesus, and evangelize. We live in the middle of both of these mandates. The Great Commission does not negate the cultural mandate that was given to Adam and to Noah. On the one hand, we are all called to live as part of our culture. We are called to promote the well-being of others and justice in society. On the other hand, we are called to be part of God's church, to be baptized, and to bring the gospel to others. Thus, as God's people, we must strive to live rightly in both God's kingdoms according to how he has structured them. So, that's the first part of what piqued my interest, are those two mandates. And again, The first of those mandates applies to everyone, including Jewish people. And the second applies only to Christians. That's second mandate. Now, the next section is entitled Christians and Politics. And there's some stuff that's talked about, but this is kind of where I want to pick up on, and this will lead us into what I wanted to discuss. This is the approach of modern Anabaptist groups such as the Amish and Mennonites. They argue that one should not vote or serve in political offices because Christians live in a different kingdom. These groups will often discard traditional ways of dressing, seeking to avoid the evils of culture. In view of the two kingdoms, the problem with this approach becomes clear. They have rightly emphasized the importance of the right-hand kingdom, but have wrongly concluded that the Christian's existence in the church negates their role in culture. There are other Christian groups who are extremely active in politics. Sometimes churches will endorse particular candidates from the pulpit. There's a movement known as theonomy, which argues that the Old Testament civil laws given to Israel need to be adopted by society today. And we see a lot of that. This is a huge thing for sort of the MAGA base, you could call it. You could also call it the Christian version of what we see in the Middle East. The way that Islamic countries incorporate Sharia law into the country laws. It is the role of the church to fight for the government to establish policies that are in accord with Scripture. These groups rightly teach that Christians should be active in the left-hand realm, but wrongly confuse the purpose of the church and the state by causing the church to emphasize politics rather than forgiveness of sins, as well as by confusing the role of Israel and that of the modern state. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. First things first, it is freaking cold out here today. It is not that cloudy, really, but it is cold. So I'm going to put some gloves on for a minute until I need to use my hands again. So this idea of Christian nationalism, it irritates me. Now, first of all, there's countless definitions of Christian nationalism, depending on if you fancy yourself a Christian nationalist or not. If you don't, then you are, when you say Christian nationalist, you're essentially calling people with Christian beliefs, often white supremacist is thrown in there as well. It's a derogatory term. Because of that, of course, I put the gloves on, the pipe goes out. Go figure. Hold on. All right. Here we go. Now, because it's often viewed as derogatory, a lot of people on the right have jumped on board with it. Yes, I am a Christian nationalist. I am not a white supremacist, but I do believe that this country is founded on a Christian back, and we are a Christian nation. And we should have Christian laws. That should be a priority of the nation. But one thing that he says in this last statement that really got to me, phrased very well, as well as by confusing the role of Israel and that of the modern state. See, I think a lot of people in the American Christian movement think that we are the modern day Israel. Not the nation state, but like the nation of Israel, you know? Like God's people. And that's us here in this country. And it's us against everyone else. That's pretty typical American, isn't it? The world revolves around us. In a lot of cases, the world actually does revolve around the United States as a country. But that being said, it's very small-minded to think that this country is the chosen people, that we are the chosen people. That's neglecting a huge understanding of the New Testament and the idea of being grafted into the tree. See, branches were pruned off the tree and others were grafted on. So, really, it doesn't apply to America. It applies to the person. Now, I'm not saying that I disagree with the idea of Christian laws in the country. But it's a very small-minded, selfish view to think that America is the nation of Israel. And that really bothers me. Because to be perfectly frank, most people that fancy themselves as true Christians, real Christians, are simply not good people. It's an excuse for acting the way they are, the way they do. See, it's not our place to be judging other people and how they live. That's not for us to do, the judging. Well, our job is to, as the second mandate said, let me read that again for you. We are called to live as part of our culture, promote the well-being of others and justice in society. We're called to be part of God's church, be baptized, and to bring the gospel to others. That includes not only through preaching and teaching, but also the way we act. You are a representative of what you believe. So every time you open your mouth, every time you interact with other people, the behavior that people see from you, you're a representative for what you claim to be. It's not an excuse to be an asshole to people. And that's how a lot of people use it, to be perfectly frank. Now, jumping back, all this talking, and my pipe keeps going out. I should leave it out, but it's cold as crap. Okay. Maybe. I think even my pipe is cold. Try it one more time. And if not, we'll move on. Playing the which pocket did I put the lighter in. You can almost make a game out of this. I think we should. All right. Now we can get back into it. Sorry about that. He writes, all political structures are imperfect. What? You mean even the Trump government? Yeah. Because government itself is a result of the fall. Every state is going to have sinful people running it, and everything sinful people engage in is going to be corrupt. No matter how we try to emphasize checks and balances in the state, some people are going to abuse their political power. So this is a problem with the MAGA movement in a lot of ways. This idea that Trump is a modern savior. Because that's how he's treated by a lot of the MAGA movement. I mean, is he going to do things I think are a lot better than what's happened over the last 4 years? Sure. But he's going to screw up a lot of things too. I don't agree with everything that he's doing. We'll talk about some of that in just a second. We should not then look for some kind of perfect political system because all of them are going to have their flaws, but we should support the one which we think best promotes justice and good of others. As an example, the modern practice of abortion is clearly an instance of immorality, as innocent lives are murdered. We know from Scripture that murder is sinful and that a fetus is a life. Since the role of government is to protect life rather than to take it, Christians should stand united about this issue. So, we're coming up on 30 minutes already. That's crazy. Thank you if you've stuck around. You know, I'm reading a lot of articles about these executive orders that Trump is doing. One I read today is not allowing any flags other than United States flag to be flown at U.S. government buildings around the world, including, but not limited to, Black Lives Matter flags and pride flags. Good. Great. Fantastic. See, I don't care what a person believes. Black Lives Matter. They do. I don't disagree. It's an important thing. But everyone's lives matter. Every life matters. And I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, any race. Doesn't matter. The Black Lives Matter organization is I don't have anything good to say about it, so I'm not going to say. But the organization nationally does in fact support, and they've since taken it down, but it was there, I have a photo of it somewhere. Dismantling of the family unit. I think that's one of the problems in the culture today. We don't value the family culture in this country today. The pride flag. I don't quite frankly care what a person identifies as. I don't. If you want to identify by your race, go ahead. You want to identify by your gender, go ahead. If you want to identify as something non-human, go ahead. I don't care. You want to identify by your sexual preference, okay. Those are all just really divisions that separate people and get people arguing and bickering. I really don't care. If you're straight, cool. Go ahead. Talk about how much you love your spouse. If you're gay, good on you. Go ahead. Feel free to talk about how much you love your spouse. But this whole thing that the pride flag is often associated with, the LGBTQ, all the other things involved in it, that's about sexual preference. And quite frankly, that does not need to be public knowledge. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. That's all between you and whatever consenting adult that you choose to do it with. Did I mention adult? I hope I did. Okay. But we don't need to be talking about it. I don't care what you do. Just be a good person. Be a good person. Be a respectable member of society. That's all I need to know about you. When you've got to walk around with a, stick up your ass because, I don't know, you feel that somebody not approving of a gay marriage is going to destroy your life, and you are an asshole to people because you think that they fall in that camp, it's not an excuse. It's a judgment. And it's not your place to do that. See, I would actually venture to say that before all this really started popping off, shall we say, and it becoming really politicized, I don't think people really cared about if somebody identified as being gay. I really don't. I think we're at a point where that didn't matter. But as we started shoving it in people's faces, people started getting mad. People started getting upset. And it's become really polarized again. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the feminist movement has become a tool for all these other things. What do I mean by that? What's happened over the last several years with the crossover between the feminist movement and the trans movement, it's kind of astonishing. I mean, women fought for equal rights. And I 100% support that. I do. I really do. Now, what do we have women feminists fighting for now? Men who identify as women to be allowed to go into women's sports, compete, win, allowing men in women's locker rooms, allowing men in women's prisons. Everything that you fought for, you're now fighting to give back to men. That's so dumb. Anyways, we're coming up near 40 minutes. If anybody stuck around this long, wow, thank you. Thank you. These are just some of the things that I think about, the ironies of life today. The other one I want to talk about, and it's not going to happen in this video, I'll say it for the next one. Removal of any sort of federal funding for any sort of abortion procedures. We're not talking about that in this one. That's going to be a lot to talk about. So we won't get into that. It's a little preview for what we can talk about in the next video. So that all being said, thank you all for listening, and interested in your thoughts below, whether you agree or disagree. Disagreements, as long as they are stated in a acceptable manner, not being rude, not attacking, are much appreciated. And those are the kind of discourses that make the world a better place. So if you agree or disagree and you would like to leave a comment down below, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. And we can have some other conversations. Until the next video, thank you all very much. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.